All right. Welcome to the 3 of 7 podcast. It's Monday meeting. Where are we picking up today in Matthew? Is it 22:15?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. Cornbread, get us up to speed on this ruck challenge, man, because I saw that the group there that's competing in this first challenge completed their 2,000 miles. Was that like a warm-up?
Yeah. We had a month-long warm-up. Genius idea by Chile to get everybody up to speed on everything. And they made it to 2,000 miles last night about 10 o'clock.
So what is the ruck challenge for people who have missed it?
So it's a 10-week challenge. Each week has a different event that you're taking place in. Some of them are fastest, 5-mile, 40-pound ruck. Throughout the 10 weeks, they will be a point system, first through 10. You score your points through the 10 weeks. The top 5 competitors, top 5 places, will go on to the championship, be invited to Mountain Mama to ruck off for the championship.
Okay.
8 hours.
Okay.
Strava. Yeah.
It's all around through Strava. And how many people are competing in this?
24.
24.
Yeah.
Well, 25.
Well, 25.
You were the
counting me.
25th, yeah.
I'm trying to steal points.
And it sold out like the day we announced it.
Yeah, like a couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's exciting, man. I'm actually, as a spectator of this competition, I'm actually getting pretty excited about it.
Yeah, they're real pumped up, the competitors. They've named themselves Ruck Team 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you like the Reaper?
Yeah, the chaser.
Yeah.
That's what I am, trying to steal them. Hopefully I place in the top 5, and there'll only be 4 folks going to Mountain Mama.
8 hours of rucking at Mount Mama. That's going to be interesting to see how many miles they can accumulate in 8 hours. I'm super pumped about this, man. What an awesome way to continue to build on the community that we have here at 3 of 7 Project. And, to me, that's the most amazing part of 3 of 7 Project. Like last night on Resurrected, as I was teaching the message and, sharing with the people there on the call, just kind of some of the things that I'm going through right now in my life. At the end of Resurrected, we open up the call and we actually get to have conversation. And it's just amazing how it has become, 3 of 7 has become this tight-knit group of people really spread across the continent. And everybody's rooting for each other, man, and everybody's supporting each other. And the connections that we have are so meaningful because of the training that we've done over the course of the last 5 years. And now when I log on to do Resurrected, I'm sitting there looking at, 30 or 40 people who I've actually done something hard with, like in real life, who I've got to spend real time with. We have memories, we have stories together, and they're also looking at other people who were part of their team at whatever training event that they came to. And like the training that we've done over the last 5 years has been really the hardest part in terms of workload of what we do, but it has produced the most valuable results within the company here, which makes sense. The hardest thing should produce the most valuable results, and it surely has. Speaking of training, are the training courses for 2026 live on the website?
Yep, Proving Ground Basic Course, ROP course, all updated 2026 dates.
So 2026 dates are live on the website. If you guys want to come out and train, you can get ahead of that by going and submitting your application for either of those 3 training missions right now. They generally, at least for the past 2 years, have sold out well in advance. I think this year, dang near a year in advance. So go ahead, and if you want to get your application in, now's the time to do that, and we will begin the select selection process for those training missions in 2026. Probably within the next month or so, we'll start that selection process. Yeah. So I wanted to give y'all a heads up on that. Awesome. So glad to be back with you boys today. We're still in the book of Matthew, and I keep waiting to get to Matthew chapter 24. We're not far off.
No?
I keep waiting to get there because there's a lot to be talked about, but there's a lot to be talked about all through this. I've just always liked 24, but today we're in 22, and coming along with one of the biggest things that I have struggled with since we've been in business, and that is taxation, right? Taxation. And so in verse 15, by the way, does anyone know, is this the setting of starting here in verse 15? Is this in Jerusalem? Because we had the triumphal entry in the beginning of chapter 21. So Jerusalem, I guess, is the Mecca for all of the religious elite, right? I'm guessing it was full of these Pharisees and Sadducees and all of these different sects and religious people, because that's where the temple was in Jerusalem. So that's probably where their high up officials, I'm assuming, were. And in the following verses that we're going to study today is essentially an account of these religious groups coming to Jesus and asking him some hard questions, essentially trying to entrap him.
Yeah.
Right? And
because he made a big spectacle when he arrived there.
With the triumphal entry,
Yeah, and then he went in and turned the tables over and said some things that they didn't like. And so, he's caused a fuss there. Now they don't like it. They're trying to trap him with different questions.
And these religious elites, the Pharisees and Sadducees and these groups, there's another group mentioned in this portion of Scripture too, as we go, and we'll get to that. But it kind of seems like they were in cahoots with the Roman government who was ruling over that area. I don't think they necessarily liked the fact that they were being occupied and controlled by a foreign entity, but I think that they were probably in cahoots with Rome just for the sake of power, right? Mm-hmm. Maintaining power.
The Sadducees especially, they were more likely than the Pharisees to cooperate together with the Romans. Yeah.
Isn't that what religious groups like this, religious elites, holy men, isn't that really what it all boils down to? Is the reason people start these sects of religious groups is all about controlling people. I mean, generally. So it makes sense that they would be in cahoots with the Roman government, because it's all about control, controlling people. I mean, you look at any of the cults that are out there, religious cults. If we want to look within the visible church, you look at the Roman Catholic Church. It's literally all about control and manipulation of people. But the crazy thing is, just like where we studied in 1 Corinthians last night on wisdom, Scripture really doesn't leave anything for man. Like, it doesn't leave anything for us in terms of our ability to be holy or to be in control or to be some holy leader or anything. It doesn't leave nothing for us. It doesn't even leave a thread for man to cling to. But man likes to control. I don't know. I was born without that gene, I guess. I don't want to control anyone. I do not want to be in charge or control anyone. I don't understand why so many people are so adamant and spend their lives pursuing that. Most politicians, honestly, that's the reason that they enter the career that they spend their life pursuing.
Well, if we all looked at our lives, we probably would see that we are doing that to some degree when we want to get what we want and someone's in the way of it, some form of manipulation to get them out. I mean, even to some smallest degree, we're all trying to control something or someone. So I think everybody has it, but not to the level that not everybody has the level that they say, I want to be in control of all of these people because of the headache that it is or whatever the reason. But I think we all, even if we don't realize it, have some form of control or manipulation on people that we probably shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So many of this, I guess that part of our nature in particular, that part of our sinful nature, to me, is closely tied to the original or first sin that was committed by Adam and Eve, the first man and woman. It's our desire to be like God, right?
Yeah.
To impose our will upon whatever the situation is. Mm-hmm. That's ultimately, you can sum it up as pride. So taxes, the Pharisees, they plotted together, again, trying to come up with a way to trap Jesus, and they sent their disciples along with the Herodians. That was the other group that I said would be mentioned in this portion of Scripture. This was not a religious group, but it was a Jewish, Roman-backed political party, essentially. So this kind of proves what we were thinking earlier, that how all of these religious elites were all tied in with the authorities. And they come to Jesus and they say, "Teacher, we know that you are truthful and teach the way of God in truth and defer to no one, for you are not partial to any." Why do you think they addressed him? They addressed him very respectfully.
Well, it's kind of condescending, I think. They were not giving credence to his credit, but they were doing it, saying like, "Hey, you're all these things, so why don't you tell us this?"
Yep. Yeah, I can see that too. They asked him, "Is it lawful to give poll tax to Caesar or not?" So, how are they using this to trap him? And it kind of ties into why they brought this Jewish, Roman-backed political party with them to ask this question. They're trying to trap him because if Jesus says, yes, it is lawful to pay this tax and you should do that, well, then the religious elite would condemn him because at their core they hated the fact that Rome was occupying their land. If Jesus said, no, don't pay this tax, well, this Roman-backed political party here then would accuse Jesus of essentially bucking.
Rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, if he says no, they have a way to arrest him. Well, not really. Maybe not arrest him on the spot, but like
turn him over to Herod.
Oh, okay, you not paying your tax, But if he says yes, well, then that is a seeming contradiction to other things that he said.
Yeah.
I mean, if he says yes, you just pay your taxes to Caesar, like respect that authority in in that way, like from other things that he had been saying, they would have been like, well, hold on now. What do you mean?
Yeah.
But then he, you know.
Well, and this poll tax is interesting too when you read into the history of what it was. It was not just any ordinary tax. This poll tax was a tax that Rome charged every Jewish person existing in that land per year. They charged them this annually, and basically it was a tax that they had to pay simply for their existence. That was the reason behind the poll tax. If you're just going to be a human being and exist here, you have to pay this annual tax for your very existence.
I can't believe we hadn't started that in America yet.
Probably
We
coming.
basically do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so expensive to be born, to die, to work, to have a house, like you basically are. I mean, we can't be taxed more than we are. They're working on a dang carbon tax as we speak because we expel carbon dioxide from our mouth. I mean, all this stuff, it is so funny how you kind of like wonder what it looked like then. It looks exactly like it does now.
Yeah.
The Republicans are tied in a strange way with the, Republican political party with the church today. And so much of the Southern Baptist convention, like
The Herodians.
it's exactly.
Yeah.
It looks exactly the same. I mean, politics and religion intertwined to influence and control people. The Roman Catholic Church being the political entity that it is. You know, all the different denominations and all the different religions, and then the tax being the way it is on us as American citizens and worldwide. You know, the church being a tax-free entity that then is leveraged by the state in many cases against people. I mean, it's just insane. But it looks, if you want to know what it looks like now.
Yeah.
We have a real good glimpse of what it looked like, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So this poll tax is basically Rome basically saying, we own you. You're going to pay us simply for your existence. Now we don't have a specific tax like that yet here in America. Specifically, like if you're going to be here, you're going to pay this annual tax just for existing. I hope that no politicians listen to this podcast because they are then going to hear of this idea that was imposed by the Roman government back in the day, and they're probably going to come up with a way to do it. But Jesus doesn't respond with a definitive yes or no. And it's quite a masterful response that he gives. It says he perceived their malice. In other words, he was aware why they asked him this specific question. He was aware that they were trying to entrap him. And he responds to them pretty bluntly. Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? And he says, show me the coin used for the poll tax. It was a denarius, which apparently was a silver coin that was equal to a day's wage. A denarius. And he said to them, they apparently produced one of these coins. He looks at it and says, whose likeness and inscription is this? And they said, Caesar's. And he said, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. When we look at our money,
Same thing,
right? Our coins, our dollar bills, all this stuff, they all bear the image of a president or some high up somebody in the government. Nonetheless, I think what really chaps my butt about taxes is what we act like America is supposed to be or is. Like, we act like this is a free country. We act like this is supposed to be something that it's not. It is not what, land of the free, all of this crap that we like to say in our nationalistic view of our country. Rome didn't make no bones about it. I mean, this Roman government, they were just straight up, hey, we own you. We control you. You have no say in anything, right? But we act like, here we have all this say and this is a free country and all this crap. But then when we look at taxation here in this place that is supposed to be something of a free country, well, we realize that we work over 6 months out of every year. Our salary goes to pay our taxes. So you're working half the year to fund, apparently, your government. I think it would be easier for me to pay taxes if I just lived under a government that didn't make no bones about it, that didn't try to be mysterious, that didn't try to act like we were free, that didn't try to act like we had any say. If we just lived under a government that was like, screw you, you belong to us, you're going to pay this tax. Might be easier to pay it then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, we basically do. It's like you said, it's all because of just perception, and there wasn't, at least I don't know of the history of 2,000 years ago of Rome. Like, that's the thing. I don't know it that well. Maybe on the ground there was all kinds of propaganda and messaging, but like you said, it seemed more straight up.
Yeah.
And the history of Rome changed a lot, the political structure of the country. Before this time, before Jesus was here for hundreds of years, it was a republic. Well, that's what the United States is, right? But that's what it's propagandized to be, that we are a republic, the land of the free. I mean, really, we operate, as I've said before, as an oligarchy. And that's how Rome was operating here. I mean, now the time with Jesus, well, they had Caesar. They had an emperor. I mean, it was just like, screw that. Like, the Senate and the republic that they had formed was just no longer had any power. It was just a supreme ruler, basically.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's the way the United States runs, just with an elite class. But like you said, it's different because of the kind of the facade around, what we perceive it to be versus how it actually is operating right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we perceive it that way because when you're young and you're not having to pay taxes, you're going to school, you're doing all these other things, that's when you're taught, when that burden isn't on you, you're taught that you can, when you become an adult, change things. You can go through when you go into your civics and your political courses in school and whatnot, that you can indeed change things. Well, the only way to change it is to get in that circle and fight to do it. But we all know by then most politicians are in it for other reasons than actual change. So the perception is we are free. I can change this if I want to. We could band together and change this if we want to, and then that's for a whole different podcast there, but that's why we perceive it as being that way, when 99.99% of everyone don't do anything about any taxes. We just pay them.
Yeah.
Well, I think Jesus' response was interesting in the second part, that he said, and give to God what belongs to God, because they didn't ask anything about that.
Yeah.
They was asking about their tax and the coin.
Yeah, and what belongs to God? I mean, everything really.
Yeah,
So
and Jesus too, and his rightful place as the Messiah. I mean, I think he was giving, like, kind of acknowledging that, saying, "Hey, his face is on the coin. The whole reason you're in bondage to this man on this coin is because of your sin. Yeah. So just give him what's due to him, and start giving to God what's God's. Your life, me as the Messiah, my rightful place where I'm at." And he's calling out their focus on money and where their things are going and what they're doing here, and they're not giving anything of God's to what is his. So not only does he avoid their trap, but he then puts it back on them and says, well, why don't you give to God what's God's? What are you doing with that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a battle between, do you look at your government, the authority over you in this life, it's a line between, do you look at it as, well, I don't like it, but I don't have to like it. God put these people in this place according to his will for a reason, and that's just the situation I'm in, and let it be. Or do you look at it as like, you know, God's law trumps all earthly kingdom and law, and my rights don't come from the Constitution. They come from literally God. I have God-given rights, as all men do, and I'm going to respond and act to that, and any political entity that is in place that is oppressing me and essentially stripping me of some of my God-given rights, you know, that's an opposition. I mean, I'm in direct opposition and contact with that, and that's, you know, a battle that's supposed to be taking place. I mean, do you get the line? Like, that's a different.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
you can kind of look at it both ways.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I think many of us have all struggled with that, especially in recent times when we see what the money that's produced from taxation that we all pay into. We see what it's being used for, and we see the evil purposes that it's being used to accomplish. And so then you can't help but wonder, am I going to how accountable am I to the evil that's being done by this government who I am choosing to fund? Exactly. It's a hard question, man.
It is.
But rendering unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God. Chili said, well, what belongs to God? Well, everything belongs to God, right? All the hills, all the cattle, all the gold, all the everything, you know, he's the creator of it all. He's the Almighty. But I think specifically what Jesus might be referencing here, render unto God the things that are God's, are things like honoring God, things like worship, like glorification, like praise, like thanksgiving, acknowledging his power, placing your hope in him, right? Trust. Okay? The reason I think that this is what's being meant here, render unto God the things that are God's, and it's not necessarily talking about the material objects of this world, is because in today's society, in large part, we're talking about the masses, what are people rendering to the government? These things that belong to God, that I just spoke about right here, right? Praise, honor, worship, trust, hope, glory. We render all of those things, and that's, I think that's what these people were doing. These religious elites and these political groups, obviously, they're doing the same thing. Like Chili said, it's all the same. It's all the same. When you see people who have dedicated their entire life revolves around what's happening in politics. I'm not talking about politicians themselves. I'm just go scroll your Instagram. I mean, people, their whole lives and their entire thought life and worldview and mind is all revolving around what's happening in the government, right? And that's where they find their hope. That's where they put their trust. That's the people that they glorify, that they in some ways praise. I mean, we saw it en masse for Donald Trump. I mean, that was an anomaly like I've never seen in my life. Like, truly, these millions of people were rendering to Donald Trump the things that belong and you should actually be rendering to the Almighty. And I think that's what he was talking about, is those types of things and not material things.
Well, God doesn't care about the material things.
Yeah.
He never once asks for them, only if they were tied to your heart. If you had the attachment to the thing and you wouldn't let go of it, and you gave all of that to that thing and not to God, then he wanted that thing. Because then it would break that connection between you and it and build the connection to you and God with your heart. So, I totally agree that lines up with the rest of the Bible. He doesn't need all the gold coins and all the money and unless that's what your heart's tied to. Then he wants to, then that bondage needs to be broken, because that thing that belongs to God is being given to that material thing or that other person or that whatever it is, fill in the blank, whatever that thing is.
So how do you guys think we're supposed to, as Christians, respond to this statement? As Christians here in the United States, but really you could be anywhere, any first world country these days, and you're just being taxed essentially to death. How are we supposed to respond to this? Because, it still frustrates me, when I'm working, and then I'm writing these massive checks to a corrupt and wicked organization of people, and whether they use the money for anything or not, we'll never freaking know. But it's even if they don't need the money or use the money, because again, it's their image on the money. They can make the money. It's not even money. They can make the currency that we use. They don't need us to pay it to them. It's essentially about, similar to what we see here with the poll tax. We own you. You don't own anything. This is tough. How do we respond to this? Do we just keep on paying these taxes?
I think it's interesting how they responded, because I agree that was a masterful response, but I still would expect maybe another question. But after he finished that and said, and render to God what is God's, they said, well, all right then. See ya. They marveled and they went on their way. Like, they were just like, well, no, I don't even got a response. That's just funny. I mean, they didn't even have a comeback to even say, are you going to pay them then? Yeah.
I think that, we come to this a lot of times when we're thinking about paying taxes, and really, you can take it at face value and see what he said. But really, I get the feeling like it's about them trying to trap Jesus. It's not about how do you manage taxes. Right. And really, Jesus' response is like, I don't really care. I don't care about taxes. If it's got his face on it, give it to him and give God the thing that belongs to God. And I can't help but see it that way.
That's the emphasis.
Yeah, and it's not like, people come to this and say, I really hate these taxes. Should I pay them or should I not? Let's see. And really, it's about they're trying to entrap Jesus, and they're trying to, this is about him as the Messiah, and they're trying to figure out a way to put him in prison or to kill him or to do to get him to say something that they can convict him on. And that's just a means to it. And he just uses this response to circumvent that. I'm not saying that what he said isn't true, but his response is just kind of nonchalant. Give me the coin. Okay, why are you even asking me this? Whose money is this? It's not your money in the first place.
Well, no, I mean his response is definitely, yeah. I mean if you say how should we respond today, focus first on give God the things that are God's,
Yeah.
like Chad was explaining there. I
Yeah.
mean, I think if you start with that, the rest kind of falls into alignment.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that's how you should view the whole political structure of government anyway. Is I'm not going to give this entity what is God's.
I don't like it either, but I choose not to dwell on it because when I dwell on it, then I don't give the
Well,
things
so your
to God
response
that
is
are
to
God.
just pay taxes then.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You're
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I do. I don't like it. I don't think it's fair. But do you think that it was right and fair and they liked it back then? Do you think that the Roman government was using that money, that tax, for good things, for the betterment of the community and for things that Jesus would have been happy about? No, they weren't. They were using it to continue to control and oppress people, just like what is going on today. And what does he say? If they want it, give it back, give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, it seems, I guess more so the question of even should you pay the taxes now, you know, just how it stands, is how much attention or effort should you give to maybe trying to affect change to, you know, back to the revolutionary side of it. It's like, well, it's like if we got enough people together, we could change whose inscription's on that coin.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you want to get real serious, maybe this isn't that, you know, it doesn't seem that possible, but like technically it's feasible that we could we could change whose inscription's on that thing and change this whole deal.
Yeah.
You know, so like how much effort should be put into that is kind of a question, because you could argue that that's even wrong to try to worry about so much, you know?
Yeah.
Well, the ultimate problem that we can't solve is
You'd wind back up here.
the heart of man. You know, Blake talks about the heart.
You just
all the
wind
time.
back right here.
There's actually a book about Blake that I wanted to recommend. Gosh, I've lost it. It's all about the heart of man. I'll find it again. I want to order it soon, but there is no hope for man. Like there just is simply no hope for man. And it's funny too, man, and I think about this for myself, all of the things that I've wasted so much time on throughout my life, putting so much thought into, getting so fired up about, taxes being one of them, money and all this stuff. It's funny when we come down to when we come to the end and things all of a sudden become ultimate, where we are now about to no longer be part of this world. It's funny to think about all the things that we spent our lives so fired up about, all of a sudden don't make a hill of beans in this ultimate moment.
Yeah.
Like it's great to have some perspective on that, to keep perspective on that. I noticed that, you know, sitting with my friend Mr. Don. Like he spent his entire life, you know, working and accumulating money. You know, he was, and I don't think he did that for the wrong reasons. He did that for you know, for good reasons. But nonetheless,
He didn't care about that.
he didn't give a rip about it.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't give a rip about it. So it's great to just kind of remind ourselves of that as we get so frustrated and so angry when the tax check gets written and you realize you're a slave to your government and you don't actually own anything. That there's a moment that's gonna come, and you don't actually have to wait for it to come. You can just have a realization of it and actually start living with the proper perspective while you still have time to live, right?
And it also reminds us, you know, that could remind us that, well, did you think you owned it in the first place? Like, really, I think we're mad that we're giving it to something that feels like it's being taken from you, but it's like,
The whole idea of ownership is based on the premise that we are going to live forever on this earth.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you talk about the ownership of land.
You're just renting your time here anyway.
You really are. I mean, That's the whole premise of ownership is a fallacy.
Well, I think I don't even know if you want to call it the psychology behind this, but it's all we try to affect and change our situation rather than just how we treat people in the situation that we're in. And it's funny because, like, Jesus never, unless I'm just crazily overlooking something, Jesus never taught or instructed or talked about affecting political change or changing your situation at large. Yeah. You know, like changing a structure, like, well, you know, you may find yourself under a tyrannical regime in North Korea. So here's this message. If you find yourself in that, here's how to revolt and band together and change that situation so you can live free on this earth. Like, he never talked about that. Yeah. He basically said, whether you find yourself in a place like that, or you find yourself in prison, or you're one of the Christians that was in the concentration camps in Germany in World War II, like there was Christians there too, you know, and what did they live like and how did they react to that situation? Or if you're in America and we live this free, cushy life, or you're in Africa and you're kind of free, but you just live in abject poverty, and all the different, there's 8 billion different situations in life, right? That's how many people are on the earth. He didn't really talk much about try to make that better. Like, here's how you should try to, you know, the effort to get out of the bondage that you're in on this earth, whether it be from the bondage we view as taxation, which is pretty minor when you look at the rest of the world.
Or literal slavery.
It was where you're at, here's how you should treat people.
Yeah.
And here's how you should view God and view others and view yourself and respond to this and be patient with this and be kind. And like, that was the message about how we conduct our lives. It wasn't, hey, go try to get into a better situation and then do this. It was wherever you're at, do this.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's like we spend all this time trying to affect political change. It's like the Jews in the wilderness, you know, in Egypt, is like, they just want it out. They just want it out. Well, that sucks to be in that. It really does. I mean, it sucks on some level to be taxed like we are, but it's pretty minor when you view it in the grand scheme of things. But whether that sucks or not, here's how you should live.
Yeah.
And here's how you should view God, others, and yourself. And that's applicable to whether you're in slavery or I know we've been bashing America, the pretty dang free place of America. Yeah. Like, regardless, this is how you conduct yourself instead of just like, I mean, look at politics in America. It's all about changing the way it is. Once this is different, then we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Once we get Donald Trump out of office and we get the and we change the tax structure to be this, and we've changed we clean up the food system and we restructure the education system, then it'll be all right. It's like, man, not that you don't ever focus on those things, I guess, but it's way more about being where you're at and living this way, so to speak, than changing the situation you're in and then, you know, and then, okay, now it's good. Now we're out of slavery. Now we're not taxed anymore. Now we're going to live like this. Yeah. It's like, whether you're taxed this way or not, just live like this.
Yeah, and people are missing life for waiting for the right time.
Yeah.
Well, and you see that. Like, you see that thread all throughout the scriptures, too. I mean, it even references slavery, which is the worst possible place that you can find yourself in life.
I get trying to get yourself out of that situation. Like, I would want to, too. But
it literally says, if you're a slave, well, do this. Same thing you'd be doing if you're not a slave.
Yeah.
And if you cannot be a slave, well, don't be a slave. But it's not going to change anything about the way that you live, what you're supposed to be doing, how you're supposed to be rendering to God what is God's. But man, and especially American man, they just cannot accept that, man. And even look at the disciples, the apostles. I know the Apostle Paul references it, that he believed that the Almighty had basically set them all up for this horrific life and death and persecution, just as an example of this exact thing that we're talking about now.
It's the pursuit of fairness.
Yep.
I mean, really, man has a desperate pursuit for fairness. Everything to be, it's like, well, crap, I got screwed in this life, I got.
That has all to do with perception too.
Yeah, I got born into, I was born in Somalia with, parents that beat me. I mean, whatever, just think of just some horrible situation. It's like, well, that's not fair, I feel lucky. I was born here. Like, I've got a much better lot in life than a lot of people, but there's people that got one better than me, and it's all this strata. It's like it's more about how you view God, others, how you treat them, than trying to change your situation. I just can't. I mean, that's.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. That's all. It's
hard to accept that.
This verse here is 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18 says, "Always be joyful, never stop praying, be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for who you belong." So if you do those three things in your daily walking around life, that's the thing. People spend their whole life, like you said, trying to avoid suffering.
Yep.
Trying to get out of these situations, and they think when they get to that point, then I'm going to start living life.
Well, you see how much this ties into everything. How many times do do people say, well, I just work this job that, it doesn't fulfill me. It feels like it's not my purpose. Like, I want to be doing this other thing. And you ask them, you're like, well, how much are you having meaningful conversations with the people that you're around? Like, just start with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get you may not want to be there. Like, I totally get there's all kinds of people who work a job basically because they have to. They feel like there's no way out. But start with that. Like, you're like, once I get out of this job, then I'll start helping all these people and having these conversations. It's like, do you work alone?
Yeah.
Like, do it now.
Yeah, I mean, you won't do it when you get
exactly.
If
you're not doing it now, you won't do it when you get this dream job. So it's like, start now, and then maybe over time you can get a job that you like better, and it'll grow. But like, start now. It's just, but that's the same thing. It's waiting on the situation to change, and then you can be effective.
That's what natural man wants to cling to, though. Natural man wants to cling to control. They want to cling to this idea that we can indeed change our situation. We can cling to these, this idealistic view of a free country. I had a friend send me a video the other day of a men's group, of course, and they were in, a big sanctuary with all the lights and the big band up there, and smoke and all this stuff, and over all these hundreds of men in a worship service, and it said our society is not done yet. There's still enough of us left. Our society, we're not done. And it's like, I don't think this is the way. Like, I don't think this projection of masculinity, this projection of we still have enough power to cling to this thread of this idealistic thread of what America's supposed to be. Like, I don't think it's the way. Like, the further I go, the more I believe the way is indeed suffering and grief. With joy, obviously, with thanksgiving, with love, all of these things. But I just think we are confused about what the way is. This whole idea of taxation and all this reminds me of how so much of our dependency on currency is due to the way that we have all chosen to live. Oh, yeah. We are absolutely dependent on currency because of the way that we have chosen to live and participate in this society, right? Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the Apostle Paul, by inspiration of the Holy Spirit, where he says, live a quiet life, work with your hands, and mind your own business. right? But we don't do that anymore. We can absolutely reduce our dependency and our attachment to the currency that we use here in this country by, I would say, by 90%. We could reduce our dependence by 90% if we wanted to choose to live a lifestyle that quiet life, work with our hands, mind our own business.
Well, again, that would take a bunch of people banding together and trying to change the situation that we're in.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about it on that level. I'm just talking about it on the family unit level.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just talking about it. You know, if you feel like me when you get hit with taxes and you get so angry about taxes and this riles you up so bad, guess what I can do?
Yeah.
I live in a place where, and you don't have to have that much land. Like, you can make a very small purchase and you can live in a way that reduces your dependence on all of this. So if you're feeling like I feel when the tax man comes around, guess what?
Make less money.
Well, yeah,
Guess
that is
what?
literally what you're saying.
You can literally,
Yeah.
now it's going to require probably the same amount of work, just a different type of work, but you can change your lifestyle, and I think give yourself a little relief from the anger that you feel from the tax man.
Can't be taxed. You don't make no money.
You know, you was talking about how, you know, we hang on like the masculinity and the strength, and we can do this. And really, that very thing is what distinguishes Christianity from all other religions. I'm not an expert on other religions, but in general, the ones I have looked at all say if you do good enough, if you're spiritual enough, if you share this message with enough people, if you sacrifice enough,
They're all man-centered.
Yeah. Then you can get your own planet, or you can make it into heaven, or you can get this. And then Christianity is here saying you actually can't do anything good enough. You anything that you would try to do does not even measure up on the scale. But you can actually do much more than you ever thought you could do with Jesus. And it's the only one that's different, and it's contrary to everything that is in our nature, because we want to be able to have this strength, and we feel like we do, and we feel like this happened because of something that we did. And so we say, man, if I can just do more of that, surely I can be better than the rest. And then if I'm the best, you know, the Mormons, they really think you'll get your own planet.
Well, yeah, that's...
And if you do good enough, you'll have your planet when you die, or you'll go to heaven. And to me, it actually gives more credibility to Christianity when you're able to look at it that way.
Every other religious philosophy leaves some thread for man to cling to, even if it's a small, little, thin thread. They all leave some thread for man to cling to, except for the truth, the way. I wish everyone listening to this podcast could hear the resurrected message last night. It was titled, "What Wisdom?" ? And it was all about how everything that natural man thinks of as right is totally the opposite of what true wisdom is. And how natural man can never frame anything properly. Any situation, anything. He never can frame anything in the proper frame. It goes right along with this. But that was all out of 1 Corinthians. But, yeah, man, this was a good conversation for me. Because it is something that I've struggled with, and I know a lot of you guys have struggled with. I'm sure I'll be wondering if my brother Hal's going to listen to this, because he's probably the only other person that struggles with taxes as bad or worse than I have in the past. But it's great to kind of bring our perspective back into the construct of what is true, what matters, in terms of value, what are we rendering to God? What are we clinging to? What are we, putting all our thoughts and efforts in, whether it's how to not pay taxes or accumulate money or change our situation or change our country and all this stuff, and remembering that really none of that is part of the way, man.
It's just something else I thought of about changing the country that's so funny is, we try to figure out how could you ever come up with a political solution that pleased 350 million people, man, it's just impossible. No one would ever agree. Well, how could you come up with a political solution that pleases yourself?
Yeah.
You can't even do that because you all the things you think you wish you want, like that you wanted right now to happen politically, they could happen. Flip the switch, and then you'd go, well, now I need this chat. Like that actually doesn't. That's not quite good enough.
Yeah.
And then you change that, and you go, well, I'm still not happy with this. Like I thought that was going to be good. We could clean this up. You'll never please yourself. It's never good enough for you. I mean, you could get everything you wanted as of now, and then you'd be like, well, now I got a whole new host of things that I want because I didn't foresee this coming.
Give me all the power and the money. I don't want to handle all that.
It's never enough.
You can see that on a micro level in your own life. And like you're talking about it on a macro scale, you can see this on a micro scale in your own life. I have everything I want. I have everything and more than I could have ever dreamed of. But guess what, man? I sure would like to have one of them Mercedes Sprinter vans.
And a 78 Ford truck?
Yeah. I mean, that's revealing the human condition. You know what I mean? And yeah, man. I'll wrap it up with this. I think that when we discuss doctrine, which is a big religious word, but I've been thinking a lot about that. Well, what when we say doctrine, what do we mean? We mean we're trying to figure out what is the Scripture meaning. That's all doctrine is. What does the Scripture actually mean? How is it applicable? How do we apply it? What is the meaning? All right, that's doctrine. The closer the doctrine gets to being absolute God-centered, leaving nothing for man, I believe that's the closest interpretation to true interpretation to Scripture that we can get, inform, and understand. So think about that as you read through your Bible. And you better stop bucking Reformed theology.
Oh, my gosh.
Here we go. Speaking of authoritarian government.
I think on Wednesday we should talk about this. Chad wasn't here for the parable of the wedding dinner. I think it'd be a good conversation to talk about that again on Wednesday.
Are you going to be here Wednesday?
He won't.
Back to Old Testament Wednesday.
That's Old Testament Wednesday, boy. We're going to finish up Genesis on Wednesday.
Gosh almighty, son. Well, we're working through Matthew, man.
Yeah.
We made it. We made it about 5 or 6 verses through today. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we are getting very close. We've only got a few pages left here.
Chili says by the end of the year he hopes we'll be done with Matthew.
I predicted that we won't ever finish it. Who knows?
Yeah.
You never know.
I'm thinking about. I don't want to think too far ahead, but we've discussed what book we want to study for our next series on Monday Meeting. By the way, if you guys have any suggestions, drop them in the comment if you're watching this on YouTube. But I've really been considering 1 Corinthians.
It'd be cool to do some of the letters.
There is so much in 1 and 2 Corinthians that is just, it is so rich.
Yeah, and Ephesians.
Hey, buddy, we ain't through Matthew
I know,
yet.
my bad. We love you guys.
Hold on. We do got to get on to our lessons of the week.
Yes, we do have to do our comms check for Patreon.
Thought of the week.
We get to do our comms check.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to that.
So we're going to do that directly after. If you guys aren't on Patreon, go check it out, man. There'll be a link in the description of this episode if you want to check it out. That's where Comms Check will be. That's a weekly podcast we do over there, plus Resurrected and a bunch of other fun stuff. So check it out. If you want to be there, be there. Look forward to seeing you. Enough said.